the general public or any section thereof to do or abstain from doing any act or to adopt or abandon a particular standpoint or to act according to certain principles or to disrupt any public service, the delivery of any essential service to the public, or to create a public emergency or create general insurrections in a state. Any promotion, sponsorship, or contribution to command, incitement, encouragement, attempt, threats, conspiracy, organization, or procurement of any person with the intent to commit any act referred to in paragraph A 1, 2, and 3. Unquote. It was further added, and I quote, the crucial aspect of offense of terrorism is the creation of intense fear and anxiety, both physical and psychological, in the mind of members of the public, which has the effect of coercing, forcing, intimidating them to do or abstain from doing any act or to adopt or abandon a particular view, policy, or position to act according to certain principles. Unquote. See also the case of Berendel versus Federal Republic of Nigeria, citation supplies. In my research, I came across a handbook from the United States Institute of Peace titled Teaching Guide on International Terrorism. Definition, causes, and responses, where several definitions of terrorism were given as follows. I quote, the calculated use of violence, the threat of violence to inculcate fears, intended to coerce or to intimidate government or society in pursuit of goals that are generally political, religious, or ideological. Terrorism constitutes the illegitimate use of force to achieve a political objective when innocent people are targeted. Terrorism is defined here as the current use or threatened use of political motivated and clandestine organized violence by a group whose aim is to influence a psychological target in order to make it behave in a way which the group desires. See judgement. The unlawful use of force or violence against persons or properties to intimidate or coerce government, the civilian populations, or any segment thereof in furtherance of political or social objective is derived from Federal Bureau of Investigation. What therefore, unquote, what therefore constitutes a terrorist act from all the definition above is an act of violence, threat of violence intended to cause fear, put the recipients of such violence or fear in a state of fear. Applying the above definition to the facts of this case, the defendant in several of these broadcasts made several threatening harms to the federal government of Nigeria, the general Nigerian populace, including its own people who claim to fight for, who he claimed he fight for. In an interview with Sahara reporter, in an interview with Sahara TV, contained in Exhibit PWW, the defendant was interviewed by one Rodolphe Okonkwo. He was introduced as the founder and director of Radio Biafra. When the defendant appeared on the screen, his nameplate was Nnamdi Kanu, director of Radio Biafra. While speaking on the national conference in Nigeria, which was organized at that time, the defendant mentioned the name of some of the representative from the Southeast as the conference, and he said, if you go there and negotiate any other thing apart from Biafra, you better not come back, because our people will be waiting for you. That very person, unquote. When he was asked about the consequence for this representative, including one Ike Nwanchuku, defendant was unequivocal when he said, things have changed, and that because the only language that people in the zoo understand is language of violence and force. After all, that very contraction was put together by Frederick Lugard by force. That is what many people don't understand. Lugard killed many people to put Nigeria together, and the killing of people to disintegrate the zoo shouldn't come to anybody as a surprise. Our promise is very simple. If they fail to give us Biafra, Somalia will look like a paradise compared to what will happen to the zoo. It is a promise. It is a pledge. Also a threat to them. They must understand it, that we have had enough of this nonsense. Unquote. It is not noteworthy that defendants in the said interview kept referring to the southeastern part of Nigeria as Biafra. The defendants made some comments, such as the governor of the southeastern state being the stooge of Hausa Fulani godfathers. He even stated that Rochas Okorocha, former governor of Imo, had institutionalized the entire state to satisfy his Fulani, Hausa Fulani godfather. He said nobody had asked Governor Peter Obi about Izu River, and the person dumped in the said river. Further, during the interview, defendants, while answering a question about whether he will embrace a peace separation or choose a violent path, stated at about 7 minutes 30 second mark of Sahara TV interview in exhibit PWW, which is a flash drive containing all its broadcasts, said, and I quote, if they do not give us Biafra, there will be nothing living in that very zoo called Nigeria. Nothing will survive there, I can assure you, unquote. He also made reference to the Nigeria Civil War when he said, in 1967 to 1970, it's not 2010 to 2015. Then we had scientists, but now we have people who can make things happen even better than what we had in the late 60s. So that should ring a warning that we are not joking. 8 minutes mark in the flash. He said, I do not believe in peaceful actualization of whatever rubbish is called. I have never seen where you will become free by peaceful means, unquote. The defendant also lent support for violent acts when he said he welcomed what a group known as Biafra Journeys Group did when they unleashed violence at the Enugu State Government House. He even said he hoped more people will come out to join his group to overthrow the corrupt and inept persons in administration of the government, stating that Biafra must exist and it is their right to make sure it happens. In the broadcast of 16th May 2021, also contained in exhibit PWW, the defendants in the beginning of the broadcast stated thus, my name is Nnamdikanu. I am the leader of indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, and director of Radio Biafra and Biafra Television. I will remain a loyal servant of the people of Biafra. He further stated around 51 minutes mark, and I quote, if God is on our side, which I know He is, The army of Nigeria will die in Biafra land. Everybody will die. I will be the one leading it. By God's grace, everything called Nigeria will perish in Biafra land. The world must be prepared for what is to come. I want to let Catherine Lance and the British government to know that we have chosen the path of death and people are dying every day. We have to develop the mindset of after this, which even though NATO is there, will not, NATO is there, we say that we are ready to die, and everyone that comes to kill us will die also, because things will start happening in the next 14 days. In the next 2 weeks, the slaughter will begin to happen. You see those CNN that have refused to come to Biafra. We come by force to see what is happening. We will make sure that every Nigerian soldier on Biafra soil will die. God is my witness. I will lead this burial myself, unquote. Around 55 minutes mark to the exhibit, he said, and I quote, I want the United Government to understand that we are ready to die than be slaves, unquote. At about 1 hour mark, he said, and I quote, Israel was named Palestinians by the Romans because they were too stubborn. Go and ask how they did it. They bombed them, the Romans, away. Not these roadside bombs. Every road leading to Biafra will be manned. Lama, everything that is Nigeria, whether it is police, army, will blow till the kingdom come. Every neat and simple. Very neat and simple, unquote. The defendant also stated in that same broadcast, and I quote, we are asking for our freedom, and they are asking listening. But when we start doing what we want, the whole world will start begging us, and then I will come out from wherever I am and tell them that it's too late. Throw away your phones. Remain incommunicado as we are in the state of war. It will not kill you to do away with your foe. All people should go into the bush and stop the advance of this army, or else they will kill you. Unquote. These words spoken by the defendants in those broadcasts were not mere words, as they bear every traces of threats to harm people, including international representatives representing their nation in Nigeria. The said broadcasts were several in numbers, and defendants kept repeating his rhetorics that people will die if Biafra is not prepared. The defendant planned to commit the terrorist act did not only manifest in his broadcast, but was shown in a meeting he had with other Igbo people in the United States. At a World Congress, Igbo Congress meeting held at the 4 Points Hotel in Los Angeles, in the United States of America, as contained in Exhibit PWW. The defendant, while speaking to the audience, stated, and I quote, we must not miss this golden opportunity we are bound to suffer in this time to come. You must come out to support what we are doing. We need guns and we need bullets. I know we love life so much. Without it, Hausa will overrun us. They have succeeded in imposing Okoroshan on us. They are coming. Boko Haram is coming in Igbo land, unquote. A female participant stood up to ask the defendant of his objective, as well as why need for weapons. The defendant responded, and I quote, we now know that the best way to defend ourselves is to be armed, because Boko Haram is everywhere into called Nigeria. So we need guns and bullets, and those of you in America will give it to us. Also on the 22nd day of this month, something will happen called the blood moon. Most of you don't know that just before the Civil War, there was blood moon. There was blood moon in 67, and it only happens once in a while, because after this year, we will be free no matter what happens. If we don't get Biafra, everyone will live to die. We are not joking. His intention was quite clear. He believes only in violence as the solution to the creation of Biafra as a nation. And at the Third World Igbo Congress, most of the participants were quite alarmed by the expressions as is planned, and so they kept asking if he had considered the option of peaceful dialogue, to which the defendant was adamant that only violence could lead to the achievement of his aim. These threats of violence are nothing but terrorist act, which was duly carried out by his followers as will be seen later in this judgment. The defendant knew what he was doing while making these violent statements. He obviously had an objective which, one, the face of it is political. That is, secession of the state of Southeast, South, and some middle belt states from the Federal Republic of Nigeria to form Biafra. The defendant was also bent on achieving his objective with the use of violence, and he didn't mind if his own people die in that process. As one of the crucial elements in establishing crime, intention and the knowledge with which defendant carried out the acts can be expressed by him. If not so expressed, can be deduced from his conduct or activities or other connected circumstances. See Berede and Federal Republic of Nigeria. From the uncontroverted evidence led by the prosecution, particularly the broadcast contained in Exhibit PWW, it is clear that the defendants committed acts preparatory to and in furtherance of terrorist acts. The defendants had the opportunity to explain but failed and deliberately refused to take that opportunity. Thus, he did not place any evidence before this court to explain the context of the said broadcast or any reason which may be exculpatory in his favor. Having failed and deliberately refused to enter defense or give explanation, the court will rely on the uncontroverted evidence of the prosecution. This court therefore holds that the prosecution has established count one of the charge beyond reasonable doubt. Consequently, the defendant is hereby convicted in respect of count one. With respect to count two of the charge, the defendant was charged with making a broadcast received and heard in Nigeria with intent to intimidate the population, issue deadly threats that anyone who flouts a sit-at-home order to write his will, as a result of which banks, schools, markets, shopping malls, fuel stations domiciled in the eastern states of Nigeria were not open for businesses. Citizens and vehicular movements in the eastern states of Nigeria were grounded. This offense is also punishable under Section 1(2)(b) of the Terrorism Prevention Act. The ingredients are similar as contained in count one, except that the prosecution must establish that the defendant indeed issued a threat to anyone who flouted his sit-at-home order in the southeastern state of Nigeria. The evidence as led by the prosecution shows that the defendant issued a sit-at-home order wherein he threatened the residents of the southeast states from going out He further threatened that any church, markets, schools, banks or shops which opened will be destroyed. This was the purpose of his broadcast of 30th day of May 2021, where he stated that he had an announcement to make regarding the shutdown of the entire Southeast. He stated exactly at 9 minutes 10 seconds in the broadcast contained in Exhibit P www. And I quote, tomorrow being the 31st day of May, there is complete lockdown, no church, no market, and nobody should be seen outside tomorrow. I do not want violence. I do not want anybody to resort to violence. I condemn it completely and totally. We do not want to spill the blood of the innocent. Therefore, I am urging restraint across board. I am urging our people to honor the memory of people who died. There are no church, market, banks, car on the roads. There will be complete shutdown. If you want to be alive, do not come out tomorrow. What I'm saying is that do not come out tomorrow. If you value your life, there will be complete shutdown of Biafra land tomorrow. Any community that allows vehicles to pass tomorrow will be in trouble. Anybody in any car or lorry except in ambulance will be in trouble. I know some people are very foolish, trying to open their shops around 12. If you open that very shop, we will burn you inside it. Especially Enugu, Umuahia, Abakaliki people. You are very stupid. Tomorrow we will show you, unquote. This statement at first sounded peaceful and even seems as if he was only persuading people to honor the memory of some people. However, the defendant, in his typical aggressive way of speaking, began issuing threats to those who might want to obey his order, that might not want to obey his order. The people of the Southeast are Nigerians, and I take judicial notice substantially are Christians who go to church, and merchants that are into trade, and there are children who were threatened against going to church, their places of business and schools. This cause wonders if this can be said to be agitation for self-agitations. Unequivocally, I say no. The people of the southeast of Nigeria are entitled to their right to personal liberty, freedom of movement under Section 35 and Section 41 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. The third section provides, and I quote, every person shall be entitled to his personal liberty, and no person shall be deprived of such liberty, save in the following cases and in accordance with the procedure permitted by law. A. In execution of the sentence and order of court in respect of criminal offence of which he has been found guilty. B. By reason of his failure to comply with the order of court and in order to secure the fulfillment of any obligation imposed upon him by law. C. For the purpose of bringing him before a court in execution of order of court or upon reasonable suspicion of his having committed a criminal offence. D. In the case of a person who has not attained the age of 18 years for the purpose of his education or welfare. E. In the case of persons suffering from infectious or contagious disease, persons of unsound mind, persons addicted to drugs or alcohol, backgrounds for those people or purpose of those care or treatment or protection of community. F. For the purpose of preventing the unlawful entry of any person to Nigeria or of affecting the expulsion, extradition, or unlawful removal from Nigeria of any person or the taking of proceedings relating thereto. Provided that a person who is charged with an offense and who has been detained in lawful custody awaiting trial shall not continue to be kept in such detention for a period longer than the maximum period of imprisonment prescribed for him. Section 41 provides, every citizen is entitled to move freely throughout Nigeria, to reside in any part thereof, and no citizen of Nigeria shall be expelled from Nigeria or refuse entry thereby or exist therefore. They are also entitled, unquote, they are also entitled to their right to freedom of religion as expressed under Section 38 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The right to personal liberty, movement, religion are complementary of each other. Court jealously guides these rights, and they are basic rights which belong to them as being human beings. These rights are so fundamental. Kindly see, my Lord Agagu JCA has initiated on this in Okafo versus Lagos State Government and another citation supply. The people of the Southeast cannot be ordered to sit at home by a person, especially for someone who is not a legally recognized official of the federal government or an official of any of the states. The only person entitled to restrict movement of persons within Nigeria is the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria under emergency power under Section 305 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. The President can order for a conflict area where there is a crisis or natural disasters. The defendant is not the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, thus lacks any power to so declare a seat at home in any part of the country. The defendant arrogated to himself power to relax and with the threat of violence order the residents of the Southeastern states to stay at home or face the consequences of their disobedience. This is an unconstitutional act which is subversive and amounts to nothing more than a terrorist act. It is also a notorious fact that the people of Southeast have been subjected to sit-at-home threats on Mondays for years now. PW4, who stated that he was stationed in the Southeast, especially in Imo State for some years, gave evidence that Monday sit-at-home is a usual occurrence wherein the town are deserted, even the farmlands. PW4 also gave evidence on the death of one Ahmad Goodluck, a former aide to the former President Goodluck Jonathan, that he said Ahmed Goodluck had been killed by airport men in pursuant to the order of defendants. Ahmad Goodluck was trying to catch a flight out of Owerri on the 30th day of May 2021 when he ran into a checkpoint by airport and was shot dead. PW4 stated that he was one of those who got to the scene first. It must be noted that 30th of May 2021 was a Sunday, not a Monday, but notwithstanding, it leads to the death of a person trying to move around due to the directive of the defendant as shown in Exhibit PWK. Is a medical report from the Nigerian Police Medical Services, Owerri. The report is dated 18th July 2021 and it states, to whom it may concern, medical report. Late Ahmed Goodluck Ahmed, hospital number. The victim allegedly shot dead by hoodlums suspected to be IPOB/ECN members on 30th October 2021 at about 7 hours along Airport Road, Owerri. Picture of lifeless man seen, body of disease, buried, information. The above medical reports, duly signed by the medical practitioner, clearly states the immediate cause of the death of Ahmed Goodluck and links him to the defendant as leader of IPOB and ECN. The action of the defendant cannot be excused under any circumstances. The declaration of a sit-at-home without any constitutional power, especially the accompanied by the threat, is a terrorist act. The defendant did not present any evidence to rebut the case of the prosecution. Consequently, he admits the evidence as presented by the prosecution. The prosecution has successfully proved count 2 beyond reasonable doubt. Consequently, the defendant is hereby convicted of count 2. With respect to count 3, the defendant is charged with professing to be a member and leader of indigenous people of Biafra IPOB, a proscribed organization in which thereby committing an offense contrary to and punishable under Section 16 of the Terrorism Prevention Act 2013. Section 16 of the Terrorism and Prevention Amendment Act provides, and I quote, any person who is a member or professes to be a member of terrorist group commits an offense and is liable on conviction to imprisonment for a time not less than 21 years. The ingredients of the offense from the above provisions are: 1. The defendant must be a person. The defendant must be a member or professes to be a member of a terrorist group. 3. The terrorist group must have been proscribed at the time the defendant claims or professes membership of such group. As earlier established, defendant is a human being. There is no doubt about that. With respect to second ingredients, prosecution has led evidence showing that the defendant was not just a member, but he was the leader of a terrorist organization known as Indigenous People of Biafra. Indeed, in the broadcast of 16th May 2021, as contained in Exhibit PWW, the defendant in the beginning of the clip stated this, and I quote, "My name is Nnamdikanu. I am the leader of Indigenous People of Biafra and director of Radio Biafra, Biafra Television. I will remain a loyal servant of the people," unquote. He further stated around 51 minutes mark into the video, if God is on our side, which I know He is, the army of Nigeria will die in Biafra land. Everybody will die. I will be the one leading it. By God's grace, everything called Nigeria will perish in Biafra land. The world must be prepared for what is to come, unquote. In several other broadcasts, the defendant admitted being the leader of indigenous people of Biafra. There is no fact before this court showing that the defendant is not member and in fact leader of the same group. The defendant from the evidence before this court also possessed power to order the coordinator of IPOB in a broadcast dated 11th May 2021 in Exhibit PWW. The defendant, while commenting on the meeting of Southern governors held in Asaba, stated around 35 minutes to the exhibits. Why please? And I quote, "Concerning the lockdown announced yesterday, I urge all people of Biafra and all those in Biafra land to disobey the lockdown order given by the Geological Republic of Nigeria. The reason is because they want to use the dead of the night to move their fighters into our forest, because we have defeated their foot soldiers. Metiana, we must resist this stupid lockdown, and it will not hold in Biafra. I am calling on all the coordinators, deputy coordinator of ECN, ESN, and IPOB not to sleep in their houses today, but to look for somewhere else to stay. Because now we are in the trenches. Now you will know what is freedom fighting for. It is not comfortable. It is not rosy. Do not sleep at home. Do not sleep at home. Change your phone and even your phone itself." The defendant no doubt belongs to the group and belongs to the professing to be a member. He is a leader of the group with the influence of commanding the coordinators of the group. Not only IPOB, but even Eastern Security Network, which is the armed wing of IPOB. In a broadcast of of 12th December 2020, the defendant made an announcement in inaugurating the military group known as Eastern Security Network, which is the armed wing of the indigenous people of Biafra. He stated, and I quote, "We have cowards, fine-land idiots as governors. They have given over our land to the Janjaweed to occupy in perpetuity. This very generation, this very IPOB will not tolerate it. Not now, not tomorrow, not forever. We will rather all perish and die than to allow our land to be taken over by the Janjaweed. This is a warning to all the governors who are conspiring due to one political conspiration to give our land to infidel and blood-sucking demons from this time. It cannot happen, not under our watch. We are being told that some of these invaders come from Gambia, Mali, from Niger Republic, and some from Chad, according to Governor of Katsina State, El-Rufai. Therefore, we are setting up the Eastern Security Network to combat the excesses of these vagabonds, criminals from crossing the Jail along the same line as Omotosho, the one set up by Metiala. What we are launching before the world today is Eastern Security Network, not a Biafra army, and we will let the world know when the army is to march. But for our present purposes, we are setting it up to defend our land. Biafra against Maronda from the Shahid and the Islam incursion led by terrorists, to be precise. In the coming days, you shall see them in their uniform, performing the critical issue of providing security for our land, unquote. The defendants, who was visibly agitated, continued in the broadcast by stating, "No governor in the southeast and south-south have been able to form a security outfit. Therefore, IPOD must defend our land to the very last blood. We shall not stop, not now, not tomorrow, not forever, until our land is get rid of these Fulani terrorists." In the third video broadcast, there was a side video of the man of the Eastern Security Network, dressed in black with red cap, waving black flag with insignia of Eastern Security Network. This is therefore no doubt that the prosecution has established the second ingredient beyond reasonable doubt. With respect to the third ingredient, the evidence before this court shows that IPOB is a proscribed group. I take judicial notice of Section 2 under Section 122 of the Evidence Act of the order made by my learned brother Nyako J in suit number FAC/ABJ/CS/A71/2017 between Attorney General of the Federation versus Indigenous People of Biafra, today dated 20th September 2017, wherein the activities of indigenous people of Biafra were prescribed. The said order crystallized into PWJ, which is the Federal Republic of Nigeria Official Gazette number 99 in volume 104, dated 20th September 2017, titled Terrorism Prevention Order number Terrorism Prevention Order of 2017. The Gazette reads, and I quote, notice is hereby given that by the order of Federal High Court in suit number FAC/ABJ/CS/A71/2017, dated 20th September 2017, as per the schedule to this notice, the activities of indigenous people of Biafra are declared to be terrorist and illegal in any part of the country, Nigeria, especially in the southeast, south-south region of Nigeria, as prescribed pursuant to Section 2 of the Terrorism Prevention Act 2011 as amended. 2. Consequently, the general public is hereby warned that any person or group of persons participating in any manner whatsoever in any form of activities involving or concerning the prosecution of the collective intention or otherwise of the said group will be violating the provision of the Terrorism Prevention Act 2011 as amended and liable to prosecution. The import of the above is that beginning from the commencement date of 28 September 2017, any person claiming to be a member of IPOB commits a terrorist act. The defendant, by his broadcast of 11th May 2021, 12 December 2020, professed to be a member of proscribed group. Thus, he is in breach of Section 16(1) of the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013. Consequently, he is hereby convicted of count 3. On count 4 and 5, which are closely related, the defendant is charged with inciting members of the public in Nigeria to hurt and kill Nigeria security personnel and their family members, thereby committing offense under Section 1, Sub 2H of the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013. The section provides as follows: any person of body corporate who knowingly in or outside Nigeria, direct or indirectly, willingly incites, promises, or induces any other person by any means whatsoever to commit the act of terrorism or any of the offences referred to in the act, commits an offence under the act and is liable to conviction to maximum of death sentence. The ingredients of the offence which the prosecution must establish beyond reasonable doubt are: 1. The defendant must be person of body corporate. 2. The defendant must have directly or indirectly incite, promise, or induce other persons by any means whatsoever to commit the terrorism act. 3. The defendant must have directly or indirectly incited, promised, or induced other persons by any means whatsoever to commit the terrorist act willingly or knowingly. The defendants have been established to be a human being by the prosecution. For the second ingredient, is important to understand what incitement means. According to Supreme Court per Mikitovic DSC of blessed memory in CASA and the state citation supplied, quote and I quote, an encouragement here means an act of making someone to feel brave or confident enough to do something by giving active approval in support of the crime. Incitement also have the element of encouragement. By incitement, the person is provoked by a strong passion or feeling to commit an offense. The word set is a word of quite a number of synonyms. The two words set on connote the resemblance of causing to attack or chase, like one will be, say, the fisherman prepare the bait to set on the fish. It also has the element of antagonism. And instigation, the act of instigating, means something happened by the actions or conduct of a person who is the starter. By the act of instigation, the co-accused is prepared or gingered to commit an offense, unquote. Likewise, the online Oxford Dictionary defines incitement as follows: the action of provoking unlawful behavior, urging someone to behave unlawfully, unquote. The Cambridge Dictionary also defines incitement as follows, and I quote: the act of encouraging someone to do or to feel something unpleasant or violent, unquote. Drawing from the above definitions, the incitements involve provoking or instigating people to do an unlawful act and in their instant terrorist acts. The prosecution has led evidence showing that the defendants made broadcasts inciting public to take up arms against the security personnel in Nigeria to kill them and their family members. The broadcast of 21st day of October 2020, as contained in the PWW, the defendants said, and I quote, Radio Biafra is now in the hand of the enemy of our freedom. I don't know how much they paid for it, but I know that Britain spent over 4.8 billion a few days ago to suppress what is happening. That is what they have done. I told you a while back that Britain was now in charge of what is happening in the zoo, and you thought that I was joking. They have now come with their down, but they to succeed. Radio Biafra belongs to us, but why is it not playing out our program right now? Unquote. The defendant also stated, I am telling you people to go to the bush. Whenever you see a military convoy, you attack them. Whenever you see a police convoy, attack them. They are human beings and they also bleed. Any person with a police uniform or any army in any army uniform is an enemy of the people, unquote. Around 57 minutes to this video marked, the defendant stated, and I quote, they came to Nnamdi. It is surprised that after British High Commissioner came to Nnamdi, they opened fire on protesters in Lagos. You should know by chalk that the woman is a devil, a big devil. She too will get a comeuppance, unquote. The defendant was referring to Katrina Link, the British High Commissioner at that time. The defendant also said, from what will happen in Aba between today and tomorrow, we tell you how serious we are. Every police officer with uniform, once you come out from your house with police uniform, you are dead man walking, unquote. Callers were calling in from places like Aba, like toll gates and other parts of Lagos, Ibadan, Abuja, Jos, Abia State. Even one Jacob called from Nasarawa State. And the defendants kept giving orders for these callers and other listeners to kill every police and soldier. The defendant even told the people how to build an improvised bomb. He asked them to go to a filling station to get fuel in a bottle and put a rag in it. Then they should set the rag ablaze and hold it at soldiers. In responding to a caller call from Abuja, in that same broadcast of 20th October 2021, the defendant, while inciting his listener to attack the relative or security personnel, stated, and I quote, that every commander they have given his name, find his children. I want to get him in trouble. When they take me to court and ask why I said such thing, I will tell them why. Find the commander. His name is Ifu Umata. Find his children. Find his children. The commander of those on the ground. Find their children. Very, very important. Find their children. Unquote. If defendants went for that, and I quote, start attacking the police, take their guns, use them against them, manufacture motor tours, cocktail, manufacture bombs to bomb them, unquote. The defendant asked about 2 hours 44 minutes 35 second mark, while concurring with a caller who informed him of the intention of him, other IPOB members, to burn down the Ezima police station, stated, "Not only one, I want every police station in Aba to be destroyed, completely destroyed, and burn them down. It is an order destroying them completely. Anybody who sees them with police uniform, kill the person. Nigeria wants anarchy. We will give them anarchy." Unquote. In another broadcast, the defendant, while responding to a caller, stated this: "You people must devise strategy to outfit the army. There are some guns in Edo State right now, as we speak. Use those guns to kill one or two of their army officers. Take their guns and begin to kill other people as well, because they cannot sustain this protest for 3 weeks. There are guns in Edo State already. Kill the army whenever you see them. Take their guns and kill them." Unquote. The incitement of the defendant for the public to kill security personnel is quite clear from his big blockers. Not only incitement to kill security officers, the defendant even went as far as inciting the public to destroy all properties of federal government during the NSAS protest of 20th October 2020. The defendant, in another live video dated 20th October 2020, the defendant, while responding to calls from his foot soldier during the NSAS protest, stated, and I quote, "If you leave the Janjaweed and their agents the way they operate, if you leave them, believe me, you will suffer. That very hotel must be brought down. I did not say set ablaze. It must be demolished as an example to the rest. If you have not dealt with Tinubu in Lagos, the other will not learn their lesson. Tinubu is an evil man." The hotel referred here to is Oriental Hotel in Lagos, which the defendants alleged belonged to Tinubu. While responding to a caller, the defendant urged his callers to ambush the security forces during the protest and cut them off. He said, and I quote, "Go to the bush. You need to cut them off from the back, ambush them, take their guns from them and kill them. They are animals and not human beings. They may be wearing uniform like police or soldier, but they are animals. Disarm them and kill them. If you allow them to escape, your life is over, and I want Lagos Airport to be on flame. Breached the perimeter fence and burn down the Lagos Airport. If you have double barrel or pistol, go to the airport and burn it down. Set Muritala Muhammad Airport on fire. Set it ablaze right now. You are dealing with animals. Fulani Janjaweed, they do not reason." Unquote. It is important to state that the said hotels and Muritala Muhammad Airport and other property in Lagos, they are not in the north, where it seems to aid with faction. Even his own fellow Igbo people have property in Lagos. With destroying the property is said to be agitation for self-determinations. The threats and destruction which follow were corroborated in Exhibit PWD2, which is a pictorial pictures of the assessment of damage done to the Nigerian police alone in the state of southern states. So many of these police stations and even police officers were killed as a result of the incitement by the defendant. Also, Exhibit PWD2A, which is a compilation of death reports and certificate of death of security officers in the report. The number of police officers who were killed was given as 128. Military officers were 37. Other security officers as 10. Number of police stations attacked were 164. INEC facilities destroyed were 9 in number. This clearly shows the extent of damage caused by the defendant through his inciting statements. Another caller called into the program informing the defendant that he was at Osho, the Papa Expressway, and that they are killing them. The defendant, annoyed by this information, stated for, and I quote, "How many police or army did you kill? I don't want to hear that. They are killing you. How many did you kill?" Unquote. The caller then responded that they have burnt the Orile police stations and Ilasa police station. The defendant then told the caller not to wave the green, white, green flag of Nigeria, but a blood-stained flag with the color green, white, red. He further responded to another caller by saying, "What I want them to do is to set ablaze the United building along Marina on fire. Every federal government property in Lagos should be burnt. That is what is going to be signal to the world that people have had enough. I want every federal government building in Lagos to be on fire. Every federal government vehicle or anything belonging to federal government, burn it. Go to the Muritalem Mwane Airport, burn it. How many soldiers do they have? Manufacture your own weapons and unquote." The result of this incitement is the killing of several military officers, police officers, DSS officers. The incitement also led to the destruction of several police stations in Lagos across the southern states of Nigeria. According to PW5, he led a team of officers to investigate the destructions and killing of the security personnel that occurred during the NSAS protest of 28 October 2020, as contained in Exhibit PWD2 and Exhibit PWD2A. The results were quite alarming. The court is mindful not to attribute all the happening during the NSAS protest on the defendant. However, there is no doubt that the incitement by the defendant contributed likely to the killing of security operatives, as well as destruction of public properties. The defendant incited people to destroy property such as the Lassa police station, other police stations, and properties of the government. The evidence before this court shows that the said properties were actually destroyed, such as the Lassa police stations, the High Court of Lagos in Ikoshere, as well as PRT buses belonging to Lagos State government in Oringo. PW2 also testified that military couples were killed by those incited by the defendants in Olu in Imo State. In addition, PW4 stated that his driver and one of his tactical officers were killed as a result of the incitement. The action of the defendants were clear, as it was aimed to cause anarchy by killing security operatives in Nigeria, which would in turn lead to breakdown of law and order. The defendant had an evil intention to wreak havoc on the people and government of Nigeria. All these actions consistent with agitation for self-determination. The answer to this is in negative. His violent outbursts, as well as his instigations of the public to attack and kill security officers in southern Nigeria without provocation, was downright barbaric and without any conscience whatsoever. The defendant did not feel any concern for the family of the officers who were explained. He turned himself to a tyrant who could take life anytime he pleased. Such persons cannot be allowed to remain in society of sane minds. His shocking instigations to kill other human beings was incomprehensible, and this court hereby condemned it. But I must say that the evidence extracted is minutes compared to the avalanche of, I must say that evidence extracted in this judgment is minute and very small to the avalanche of evidence and broadcast before this court by the defendant. The defendant made extremely threatening statements, incited people to violence. The prosecution has successfully discharged its burden of proving counts 5, 4, and 5 beyond reasonable doubt. Consequently, the defendant is hereby convicted of the said counts 4 and 5. Now can 6. What can 6? The defendant is charged with the offense of making a broadcast received and heard in Nigeria within the jurisdiction of this court, in furtherance of an act of terrorism against the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the people of Nigeria, in which he directed members of the indigenous peoples of Biafra, a proscribed organization, to manufacture bombs, thereby committing an offense punishable under Section 1(2)(f) of the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013. Section 1(2)(f) of the Terrorism Prevention Act 2013 provides, A2, a person or body corporate who knowingly in or outside Nigeria directly or indirectly, willingly, F, assists, facilitates, organizes, or directs the activities of person, organization engaged in any act of terrorism. The ingredients of the offense expected to be established are: 1. The defendant must be a person or body corporate. 2. The defendant must have assisted, facilitated, organized, or directed the activities of person or organization engaged in terrorist activities. 3. The defendant must have willingly assisted, facilitated, organized, or directed the activities of persons or organizations engaged in terrorist acts. The defendant herein have been established to be a human being. As to the second and third ingredient, the prosecution has led evidence to show that the defendant has directed members of the terrorist organization to build bombs, other explosives in order to attack security operatives. Indeed, in furtherance of its terrorist actions and following the incitement of persons to kill defendant to security operative, the defendant also directed his members to build explosive devices, particularly Omotosho cocktail. At about 1 hour 30 minutes 36 seconds of the broadcast of 20th October 2020, as contained in Exhibit PWW, the defendant, while responding to a caller about NSAS protest, stated, and I quote, "Now, this night, I want graduates to go to work, graduates of chemical engineering, those who were born as engineers, manufacture any ordnance you can, because they are coming to kill you anyway, regardless of what you do. Go and manufacture any ordnance. I am calling on the youth in the Middle Belt, and I want any bridge that they can use to reinforce to be destroyed. They are going to come from the Middle Belt. This night, we have engineers everywhere, people who are intelligent. Go back now and give us your own version of Omotosho cocktail. We must destroy them before they destroy us. Every youth tonight, anybody with a police uniform, anywhere, especially in Aba, in Lagos, once you have police uniform or any army uniform, that person is your enemy. Attack them, because if you don't, they will kill you. If you are a graduate of physics or chemistry, no sleep for you tonight. Go and manufacture something to destroy the police and every army police position starting from this night." Unquote. During the said broadcast, while responding to a caller named Jacob from Nasarawa State, the defendant even told the people how to build an improvised bomb. He asked them to go to a filling station to get fuel in a bottle, put a rag in it, then they should set the rag aflame and hurt it as a soldier. Omotosho, according to Wikipedia.com, that I assessed at 1 a.m. on 20th November 2025 is a hand-drawn incendiary weapon consisting of a fragile container filled with flammable substances equipped with a fuse. In use, the fuse attached to the container is lit and the weapon is thrown, scattering on impact, unquote. The online Britannica dictionary defines Molotov cocktails as a crude bomb, typically consisting of bottle filled with inflammable liquids and a wick that is ignited before throwing, unquote. Applying the above definition, the directive of the defendant to members of the group to build improvised bombs such as Molotov cocktail is indeed a terrorist act. A Molotov cocktail is capable of causing explosions, damage like any other bombs, which aim is to cause destruction. This directive, like other directive, is a manifestation of anarchy-minded of the defendant, which he set out to express through his Biafra radio, which he claimed to be the founder and director. The defendant, through the radio Biafra platform, carried out so many terrorist attacks, which led to the destruction of lives and property in Nigeria. The defendant is not only confined to local terrorists, but I hold without hesitation that he is an international terrorist, flowing from his threat to attack British High Commission and the American Embassy, as well as his incitement against the British High Commissioner to Nigeria at the time, Catherine Lyons, a known woman of peace. In a broadcast of 21st October 2020, the defendant stated thus, and I quote, Radio Biafra is now in the hands of the enemy of our freedom. I don't know how much they paid for it, but I know that Britain spent about 4.8 billion a few days ago to support what is happening. That is what they have done. I told you a while back that Britain was now in charge of what is happening in the zoo, and you thought that it was a joke. They have now come with their clampdown, but they are not going to succeed. Radio Biafra belongs to us, but why is it not playing our program right now? Unquote. The defendant also stated, I am telling you people to go to the bush. Wherever you see a military convoy, you attack them. Whenever you see a police convoy, attack them. They are human beings, and they also bleed. Any person with a police uniform or any army uniform is your enemy. Around 57 minutes mark into that video, the defendant directed his threat at Catherine Lyons, the British High Commissioner. He stated, and I quote, they came to Tinubu. It is a surprise that after the British Commissioner came to Tinubu, they opened fire on protesters in Lagos. You should not be shocked. Human is demon, a big demon. She too will go come repentance. Around 1 hour, 8 minutes, 35 second mark, the defendant also stated, and I quote, the same thing that Britain did to Biafra in what they are doing to us now, media blackout. Do you want the world to report this issue? Take over the British High Commission. That is all. Take over the consulate in Lagos. Take over the one in Abuja. Every newspaper in the world will report it in the morning. If you march on the British High Commission in morning, front pages in the world will carry it, and the world will ask why is British Commission in Abuja and Lagos under occupation by Nigerian youth. Then it is over. I'm giving you a master strategy of how you should be done. In a formation of 3 lines, there is something I want you to do. I'm announcing it on air so you understand. People should go to every weather shop around you. You know those who build bulletproof door. I don't care how much it costs. We will pay. Everybody who is a welder who builds bulletproof, people should take those doors and put nails in front of them and stand in front of protesters so that bullets cannot go through. Push the door, get the weapons, and deal with them. When you are marching to the British High Commission tomorrow, form 3 lines. They will have the army surrounding them. They will send a cable to London that British High Commission in Lagos is under attack. They will be forced to release it. Then the whole world will know that a revolution is going on. Without that, you cannot succeed. Unquote. Even recently, in this courtroom, on the 7th day of November 2025, when the matter came up before this court, the court wondered the kind of malice and hatred which the defendant had for Britain. I will produce same part of the proceedings of that day here too. Defendants, he says, there are issues at play which my Lord has not able to overcome, which even the prosecution has not even attempted to overcome. My Lord, are you asking me to go into the doors to defend myself on a non-existing law? If you can state that for the court, my Lord, I will be most grateful that you are going to try me or ask me to enter my defense where no law exists. Because if that is the position, my Lord, that means that the outcome of very trial is predetermined. A man of my station and caliber cannot be tried without any valid law. It is impossible, my Lord. I will tell you why. This was the case. This very case is bigger than this cause. The case of mine started in 1957 when some brave men and women in this very country dared to ask the British to leave. The funniest thing is that all of them that pioneered that very effort, they all went to jail and were killed. Caught. I'm learning this now. Then ask the British to leave. Defendants. Yes, in 1957, Dr. Anthony Nnamdi moved a motion at the House in Lagos asking the white men to go and leave us alone. From that day, trouble started. Even before then, the like of Abad Macaulay was jailed, honorable men that fought for the indignity of the black race because they want me convicted. They told me so. Absolutely, my Lord. Absolutely, 100%. They told me. They said, I will come to court to see, to hear your case. When you take your plea, when persecution opens, then their case, when prosecution opens their case, when you start your cross-examination, when they refuse your no case submission, I am telling you what happened a year and a half ago when you file your no case submission and is rejected. You will not go into trial. You will be there during the verdict. You will be there during conviction. The court now responded. Let me just clarify this. It is also on record. You said that the British said that 1 year and a half ago that I was not the one presiding here. I want to say this, that I know my brother too that was ascertained, it will not get into that level of having anything to do, anything, because the way you are putting it. I want to say this. I do not have any relationship with the British. I have come here to do justice. I reiterate. Can you commence your defense so that if you commence today, I can extend time for you because your time has ended today. For the U.S. Embassy, it would have been attacked if not for the closure as a result of the protest. The defendant at about 2 hours, 24 minutes, 50 seconds, mark of the video of 21st day of October 2020 broadcast in Exhibit PWW stated, American embassy is shut down. Why won't they shut down? People are protesting. This statement regarding the embassy of United States of America is quite loaded. The statement could mean several things, none which are palatable or peaceful. What exactly does the defendant mean by the American embassy is shut down? Was he trying to attack the embassy if it has not shut down as a result of protest, or incite others to do same as he did in British embassy? The inference to be drawn from the statement is that the defendant meant to do harm to the embassy of the United States by attacking or invading the embassy. Under international law, the premises of an embassy or high commission of a foreign nation is deemed inviolable. That means that even though the land belongs to a host country, it cannot invade such premises. See Article 22 of Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relationship. Article 22 of Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, 1961. It provides thus. The premises of missions shall be inviolable. The agent of the receiving state may not enter them, except with the consent of the head of the mission. 2. The receiving state is under special duty to take all appropriate steps to protect the premises of the mission against any intrusion or damage, and to prevent any disturbance of the peace of the mission or impairment of its dignity. 3. The premises of the mission, their furnishings and other properties thereon, and the means of transport of the mission shall be immune from search, requisitions, attachment, or execution, unquote. Thus, from the above, it can be said that the defendant incited for people to invade on official premises, private accommodation, official premises, private accommodation, or means of transport of an international protected person in a manner likely to endanger his person or liberty. C. Threatening to commit any such attack, commit an offense, and is liable on conviction to life imprisonment. The High Commissioner is an international protected person, being the representative of the British government in Nigeria as well as other staff of High Commission and Embassy of the United States of America, leaving the defendant to continue his terrorist activity who have led to an international incident involving Nigeria and other foreign nations who are good partners with Nigeria. The question to ask again is whether bombing or attacking embassies of high commissions constitutes an action consistent with agitation for self-determination. Again, the answer is no. All these acts goes to show that the criminal tendency of the defendant as well as show concrete proof of his terrorist acts. Therefore, I hold without hesitation that the prosecution as successfully established can cease against the defendant. Consequently, he is hereby convicted of count 6 of the charge. With respect to count 7 of the charge, the defendant is charged with importing into Nigeria and keeping in Ubuluzo in Ihiala, local government of Anambra State, within jurisdiction of this honorable court, a radio transmitter known as Tram 50L concealed in a container of used household items which is declared as used household items, thereby committing an offense contrary to Section 47(2)(a) of Custom and Excise Management Act, Cap C45, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. The dispute as to which law provides for the offense in count 7 has been conclusively decided by the Supreme Court in case of Federal Republic of Nigeria versus Kanu, where my Lord M.L. Garba, JSC, while reading the lead judgment, said, and I quote, "A calm reading of the details of the facts stated as constituting the offense mentioned or named therein would clearly and undoubtedly reveal that it deals with the offense punishable under the provision of Section 47(2)(a) of the Custom, Excise and Management Act, Cap C45, Laws of Federation of Nigeria 2004, which provides as follows: 47(2). If a person A imports or causes to be imported any goods concealed in a container holding goods of different descriptions, or he shall be sentenced to imprisonment for 5 years without the option of fine. It follows in the above circumstances that the mention of the Criminal Code Act as being Chapter C45 or Chapter C45 in Laws of Federation of Nigeria 2004 is a mere mistake in place of correct law. The Customs and Excise Management Act, under which the facts alleged to constitute an offense in count 15, is punished and punishable. The offense in count 15 is consequently recognizable and grounded in an extant existing law in Nigeria in which it was defined and described, unquote. Thus, the court will follow the decision of the Supreme Court and decide count 7 based on Section 47 of the Custom and Excise Management Act. The ingredients of the offense are: the defendant must have imported or caused to be imported goods concealed in a container. 2. The imported concealed goods must have been of a different descriptions. The evidence led by the prosecution through PW4 is that the defendant imported into Nigeria a radio transmitter known as Tram 50L concealed in container which contain used household items which he described as such. PW4 stated that indeed the Department of State Service had tracked the transmitter of Radio Biafra to a compound in Umuludino in Ihiala, local government of Anambra State, belonging to one Benjamin Madubulu. The officer secured a search warrant, exhibit PWT, and proceeded to the compound where they recovered the container. Prior to going to the scene, PW4 testified that he watched a video of the defendant inspecting the container and the transmitter with Benjamin Modubugu. The court visited where the container was kept in custody of the DSS, and same was admitted in evidence in the presence of the defendant as exhibit PWY. and he did not object to same. The container itself contains several household items which appear to be covered for the transmitter concealed in it. The prosecution has led evidence to show that the transmitter was smuggled into the country without sale being declared to custom. That the cover of the household item was used to disguise its true content. The surrounding facts also show that the purpose for which the defendant intended to use the transmitter was to broadcast program on radio biafra, and this make it conceal the transmitter. This is also not. There is also no evidence that Radio Biafra is registered with Nigeria Broadcasting Commission, as stated by PW4. Thus, it is safe to conclude that the concealment of transmitter is in furtherance of the illegal operation of Radio Biafra by the defendants. The defendants, as a consequence of resting his case on the prosecution, did not call any witness to report the evidence of the prosecution, neither did he lead any evidence to counter the evidence of the prosecution. There is no evidence before this court stating the transmitter was lawfully imported into Nigeria. The defendant had the duty to present evidence and fact to report the allegation made against him, but he failed and deliberately refused to do so. The court is therefore bound to believe the evidence of the prosecution. Consequently, the court hereby convicts the defendant of count 7 of the charge. I must say here that defendants have always claimed to be a freedom fighter, seeking justice for his people. Indeed, this is known in law as the right to self-determination. The right to self-determination is a political right recognized in several international instruments. Article 1 of the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, 1966, provides, and I quote, all people have the right of self-determination. By virtue of that right, they freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social, and cultural developments. Unquote. The right to self-determination also entails the right of a group of people to form their political entity or their own government. Article 20 of the African Charter on Women and People's Rights also provides, and I quote, all people shall have the right to existence. They shall have the unquestionable and inalienable right to self-determination. They shall freely determine their political status and shall pursue their economic and social development according to the policy they have freely chosen. 2. Colonized or oppressed people